Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Palestinian Islamists launched 2 rockets from the Gaza Strip toward Israel's southern communities, drawing Israeli retaliatory bombardments against Hamas installations. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas issues a decree to hold parliamentary and presidential elections for the Palestinian Authority, the first in 15 years. Israel commends the United States for its role in bringing peace to the region, while in tandem confronting the Islamic Republic's malign activities in general and its pursuit of nuclear weapons in particular. Palestinian Islamists fired 2 rockets from the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip toward Israel's southern communities early this morning, drawing Israeli retaliatory bombardments against military installations. Approximately 30 minutes after 4 a.m., 2 rockets were launched from the northern Gaza Strip toward the Israeli coastline near the city of Ashdod. The military's aerial defense system locked onto the incoming projectile's trajectory. Nevertheless, it did not identify an immediate threat to populated areas. Therefore, rocket alert sirens were not activated. Consequently, some 2 hours after the reported rocket attack, IDF fighter jets struck military targets throughout the Palestinian enclave, including a site utilized for subterranean operations. The IDF spokesperson's unit informed TV7 that all of the targeted installations belong to the Hamas terror organization, which is responsible for all events transpiring in the Gaza Strip and emanating from it. The IDF further asserted that it views any terror activity against Israel with great severity and is ready to continue operating as necessary against attempts to harm Israeli civilians or sovereignty. Turning to the West Bank city of Ramallah, where Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas issued a decree to hold parliamentary and presidential elections for the Palestinian Authority, the first in 15 years. According to the presidential decree, the Palestinian Authority will hold its legislative elections on May the 22nd, while a vote for the presidential post will be held on the 31st of June. It is important to recall the last parliamentary elections for the Palestinian Authority, held on the 25th of January 2006. In contrast to numerous projections at the time, the Islamist Hamas organization managed to secure a decisive victory, winning 74 mandates within the 132-seat Palestinian Legislative Council. Consequently, a Hamas-led government was sworn in on the 29th of March 2006. However, shortly thereafter, a power struggle ensued between President Mahmoud Abbas's Fatah and then Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh's Hamas, which rapidly deteriorated into a civil war. The relatively brief conflict culminated with a de facto division of the Palestinian-controlled territories, with the West Bank governed by President Mahmoud Abbas and his Fatah faction, and the Gaza Strip by the leadership of the Islamist Hamas, which is an offshoot organization of the Muslim Brotherhood. Since then, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey attempted to mediate between the rival Palestinian factions to no avail. However, as of late, growing despair in both the West Bank and Gaza Strip, respectively, evidently expedited efforts for reconciliation, with significant progress reported in recent weeks, eventually leading to this weekend's announcement.
ترحب حركة حماس بصدور المراسيم الرئاسية بشأن الانتخابات العامة، المجلس الوطني والمجلس التشريعي والرئاسية، وهنا تؤكد الحركة حرصها الشديد على إنجاح هذا الاستحقاق بما يحقق مصلحة الشعب الفلسطيني صاحب الحق المطلق في اختيار قيادته وممثليه. عملت حركة حماس طوال الأشهر الماضية على تذليل كل العقبات للوصول إلى هذا اليوم، وأبدينا مرونة عالية إيمانا منا بأن العهدة للشعب ويجب أن تكون في يد الشعب. كما نؤكد بكل قوة على أهمية تهيئة المناخ لانتخابات حرة نزيهة وشفافة يعبر فيها الناخب الفلسطيني عن إرادته دون ضغوط أو قيود وبكل عدالة وشفافية.
Despite the president's decision to hold elections expected to include candidates from both Hamas and Fatah, Palestinian sources confirmed to TV7 that internal rivalries and deep mistrust remain unresolved. According to a poll commissioned by the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research, 52% of Palestinians believe that elections held under present conditions would neither be fair nor free. Furthermore, the majority of Palestinians do not believe that neither Hamas nor Fatah would accept defeat, regardless of the election's outcome. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Central Elections Commission called upon both the European powers and the United States to send observers to assure free and fair elections.
لجنة الانتخابات هي المشرفة والمسؤولة الوحيدة عن الانتخابات. نحن ندعو في الوقت ذاته للرقابة من جميع الفئات، ندعو من الأوروبيين، ندعو حتى من الأمريكان، ندعو من جميع الفئات. ما عندنا مشكلة من الرقابة لها قوانين محددة، والرقابة أهم من الخارج، في رقابة من الداخل.
Another point of contention relates to Jerusalem. While Israel banned all political activities by the Palestinians in the Israeli capital, the Palestinian leadership, which continues to aspire for a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its own capital, is determined to allow Arab residents of the city to participate in the upcoming elections.
We are going to have elections in Jerusalem, either with the permission of the authorities in Israel, or if they don't allow us, we're going to find ways in order to have elections in Jerusalem.
Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, the Israeli government held a special cabinet meeting in the presence of outgoing U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, during which the American envoy was honored for his relentless efforts to bolster relations between the United States and Israel, which included Washington's recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish state.
In recognition of Ambassador David Friedman for all you did for our eternal capital, Jerusalem, and for all you did for the alliance between the United States and Israel, and for all you did for peace. That sums it up, but it doesn't really sum it up. There's much more. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Ambassador Friedman seized the opportunity to highlight a sense of pride within the Trump administration in all that relates to the U.S.-Israel alliance.
The state of our union is incredibly strong. I think if there's one overarching sense of pride we have in our administration, we're leaving the relationship between Israel and the United States as strong as it's ever been, rock solid. It is a mutually reinforcing relationship, and it is one that I believe is enduring, based on our shared values of freedom, democracy, and human dignity. Our two nations, we're more than just two allies. I believe that we are indispensable partners in the ongoing quest of the human species to create a more just and a more prosperous world.
The outgoing American ambassador went on to voice his hope that the deep-rooted friendship between Israel and the United States will endure regardless of the political winds of the day.
I believe and I hope and pray that this friendship survives and endures, notwithstanding the political winds of the day, notwithstanding any particular views or personalities that arise in either government. This is something that's bigger than all of that. This relationship between our two countries is bigger than any person, bigger than any politician, bigger than any policy. It is at the core of what makes us Americans and what makes you and your people Israelis.
The Israeli Prime Minister, for his part, commended the United States for its role in bringing about peace to the region, while in tandem confronting the Islamic Republic of Iran's malign activities in general and its pursuit of nuclear weapons in particular.
These are two fundamentally opposed forces, the forces of peace, moderation, and progress, and the forces of aggression, genocide, and terror. And we have to be on the side of the good and fight and struggle constantly against the bad. It is not only for the sake of Israel and the United States, it's for the sake of all those who live in the Middle East and beyond the Middle East, who want to see a better world, a safer world, and a world that is free of the terror of the greatest terror of them all, nuclear terror.
Thank you for watching us, and as part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to lift up the Palestinians in prayer for their salvation and peace, alongside prayers for our persecuted brethren around the world, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem, the salvation of Israel, and for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion and its numerous ramifications worldwide. Separately, I would like to thank all of you who partner with TV7 Israel. Your dedicated monthly support, both by means of prayer and finance, is of crucial importance for our ongoing operations. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov v'Shavua Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.